Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a fun little book tag. I've seen this going around on YouTube a little bit, kind of like an end of year wrap up little tag. I ended up making my own little tag because I personally have not read as many books as so many other like YouTubers and other people, so I just decided to kind of cater it towards me, who only has like very little books that I've read this year. Not very little. I've read like 26, 27 books so far, which is honestly like really good for me, but compared to other people that's obviously very little. I did ask you guys on Instagram to ask me some questions, so I did get a few there, but other than that I just came up with my own questions. Also, I'm sorry if it's kind of echoey. We are in my dining room and there's not very much on the wall, so it just tends to be a little bit echoey, so I'm really sorry if that's annoying or if you can hear that. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this fun little book tag. Okay, so first off, the first question is, if you could read one trope for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I actually read this trope that I love last night and it just made me love it 10 times more, and that is definitely childhood friends to lovers. I feel like this is a very common answer, but to me, in a story, like, there has to be build up and there has to be backstory, and there just has to be something to the relationship other than like just meeting and falling in love right away. Like, to me, it doesn't really mean anything. I have found like when I'm reading romance books, there has to be some kind of build up or backstory, or just something that makes the love and the connection so genuine, just really like pulls at your heartstrings. Last night for a video I actually read this book by Christina Lauren called In a Holidays, and that was the trope for this book. I feel like I was really able to connect to the story and the characters and just felt a little bit more for it than I would if they had just met like at a store or something and there was really no connection prior to the story starting. Definitely childhood friends to lovers, that's something that I've always liked. Next question is from my cousin. It says, I know your favorite books used to be romance books. Has that changed recently? What is your favorite now? Honestly, I would still say probably romance books. This year I didn't really read too much of other genres. I did get into fantasy. First fantasy series I read was the Caraval series, and I did like that one. I read a few mystery thriller books, but nothing just hits like a good romance book. I feel like other books that I read, like mystery thrillers and fantasy, I didn't rate them like extravagantly high, and it was always the romance books that I was rating super highly. So I would still say that it's romance books. That might change this upcoming year as I get into different genres and read more of those other genres that I haven't read, but it's still romance for now. Okay, the next question is, what was your favorite series of this year? So all the top books are books that I read this year. All of these books down here on my physical TBR. I know it's a lot of books, but series that I've read, it's really not that many. I think If You Never Got Over, that's part of a series. I'm not going to count that. Really, the only three I would say is the Caraval series that I've read, the Fourth Wing series, which is just the first two books, and then also the Magnolia Park series. That being said, I think my favorite was definitely Magnolia Parks. I'm not going to pull those out of there, but so far there are 4 books in this series. There's Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, and then Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing. It basically follows 2 different plots. So one follows Magnolia Parks and her love interest and basically the friend group there, and then also Daisy Hates and her love interest, and the same friend group is in that one as well. So they're all very like interconnected books. You do have to read them as the series. I wouldn't say that you could read them alone. Yeah, I've talked about these books a lot, but basically it's kind of like Gossip Girl. It's so much drama, so much love triangles, and you know, getting back at each other and hooking up and like all of that kind of stuff. They are long books. Most of them are 500 to 600 pages, so they are pretty long, but I got through them so fast. I love that series so much. Like, it had me hooked. I almost cried in some of them too. It's just a good series to read like if you like romance books and you like drama, and definitely don't take anything to heart because it's not something to take advice from, that's for sure, but it was a very good series. The next question is, who is your favorite author of this year? I think we all know by now, that is Emily Henry. So this year I actually read 3 books from Emily Henry, which I still have 1 to read by her that I have been meaning to pick up and I keep not getting it. But I read Happy Place, Beach Read, and People We Meet on Vacation. I still have yet to read Book Lovers by her, and also she has a new book coming out this next year, so I'm super excited for that one. But she is hands down my favorite author. The quotes that she has in her book are unlike any author that I've ever read, and I just connect so much to her characters and just feel so much for them, and I feel like she's literally taking my brain and putting it on paper, like in ways that I could never even describe. So I love her writing so much. Like, I I just love her. I love her so much. If you have not read Emily Henry, please get into her books. Like, you will not regret it. I know some people don't like her, and that's perfectly fine, but for me personally, like, I could not say enough good things about her books. Like, oh, I want to reread all of them. What was your favorite book of 2023? This is an easy one. I feel like we all know what's coming. So that 100% was Happy Place by Emily Henry. Like I said, favorite author. This was my all-time favorite book. Oh my god, it gives me chills just thinking about it. I'm so dramatic, but like, I'm being so serious right now. The quotes in this book, the storyline of this book, oh, just the takeaways was like so incredible, and she just writes unlike any person. I was actually looking back at quotes that I took pictures of in this book, and it just made me want to reread it 10 times more. I am 110% rereading this in 2024. I'm going to annotate it and highlight all of my favorite quotes and just go through and really take in everything about this book. So I feel like there's a lot of mixed reviews on this, and some people loved it, some people hated it, and I was one of those that absolutely fell in love with this. So I'm gonna read you guys some of my favorite quotes from this book. So one of the quotes said, "Things change, but we stretch and grow and make room for one another. Our love is a place we can always come back to, and it will be waiting, the same as it ever was. You belong here." I love that quote. And then this one's pretty long, but it says, "Everything's different and nothing's changed, Harriet." He says, "I tried so hard to let you go, to let you be happy, and when I see you, I still feel like you're mine, like I'm yours. I got rid of every single piece of you, like that would make a difference, like I could cut you out of me, and instead I just see everywhere you're supposed to be. My eyes fill, my throat fills, I drop my face into my hands again. I thought you didn't want me," I choke out. "So I tried to love somebody else, I tried to even like somebody else. I kissed someone else, I slept with someone else, but I couldn't stop feeling like I was yours, like you're mine. Harriet," he tilts my face up, "look at me," he waits. "Please, Harriet." It takes a few seconds to force my eyes open. Water droplets still cling to his brows. Rivulets race down his jaw and his throat. His thumb grazes my cheek. "I am," he says, "I am still yours." The nail that has been driving closer and closer to my heart all week sinks home. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I literally want to reread this right now. I just love it. I just love it so much. Enough about this book. I'm gonna reread this as soon as I can. I'm sure there's a ton more quotes in that book that I absolutely love, but those are just the two that I took pictures of when I was reading them. Okay, what was your least favorite book of this year? That is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons that I did not like this book. There was a very specific scene in this book that I remember. I was literally just sitting there reading it like, what the actual heck am I reading right now? It was so out of pocket and just so like, why would you put that into a book? I have so many questions. Like, let me look at the notes that I wrote for this book, because I know that I wrote a lot. First of all, there was a very quick obsession with each other. It was like very insta-lovey. That's not a trope that I love at all. It compares the new boyfriend and the ex-boyfriend a lot, which I didn't really like. The dad in this story was an awful person. Also, there's this, I really did not like the main character. Like, really, the guy was fun, but the main character, Alexis, not a fan. So many people love this book, and I just don't understand why. And I have another one of her books too that I have yet to get into, Yours Truly by her, and I'm like so scared because it's the same like universe, same characters. I don't know. The next question was the most anticipated read. I'm gonna do for this year and for next year. Okay, so for this year, I would definitely say Fourth Wing was my most anticipated read. Obviously, this blew up like crazy and everyone and their mother was talking about it. I did really like this book. I think I rated it 4.5 stars, so really enjoyed this book. I think it was worth the hype, in my opinion. I literally got like to page 20 and I was like already hooked so quickly, and it was just so interesting, so fast paced. And I think it did dip down a little bit in the middle, like it kind of got a little bit slower, but overall it was just a very good read and very worth the anticipation. For next year, I would say my most anticipated read that I'm most excited to get into is the ACOTAR series. So this is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a 5-book series, and again, very popular fantasy book. So many people have read this and just absolutely raved about it. My friend actually just messaged me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to read that book," because I posted it on my Instagram story, but this is 100% my most anticipated. I am 100% going to be reading this year. Like, I cannot go without reading it. I'm super excited to get into this world and see what it's all about. The next question is the book that surprised you this year in a good way. That book is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I had just heard so many bad things about this book, and like, I just feel like everyone had said that they hated it so much and did not like the characters, did not like the story. And so I went into it trying to give it the benefit of the doubt and just, you know, really go clear-headed, and I loved it. Again, like I said, Emily Henry, one of my favorite authors, always just knows how to make the characters so relatable and just really has the most amazing quotes, and I loved this book so much. I love the storyline, I love the ending, like all of it was just so good. I was just very surprised because like, I just feel like I only heard bad things. It was a great book. The next one is a book that surprised you in a bad way. And I am so scared to show this book because everyone seems to love this book, and I just went into it like so excited and just thinking it was going to be an amazing book. I did not finish it. That is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read a few of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I read Malibu Rising this year, and what else did I read by her? I also read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo last year by her, and I did really enjoy both of those books. So I went into this just thinking, you know, it's gonna be another great book by her, and I literally could not finish it. It was so boring to me. Like, I just was not into the story at all. It was just so slow, and I just feel like I just could not finish it. Like, I don't know what it is. I honestly think that I will never want to go back into the story and pick it up again. Honestly, we'll give this book away because I just did not enjoy it at all. It was just so slow, and it was such a different type of book. Like, it was kind of like an interview, so they were all talking in past tense about stuff that had already happened. So that was a little bit different about it. I don't know, it just was not it for me. Next up, we have a book that you never thought that you would read. I feel like there's so many books. Okay, I actually had to contemplate this for a long time because I wasn't exactly sure, but I'm going with this one because, so my boyfriend actually picked this out at the bookstore. He was at the bookstore with me and he was looking at books and he picked this one up. He's like, hey, you should read this book. So I was like, okay. And that is Hooked by Evelyn McIntyre. This is actually like a dark romance, and I've never read any dark romances in my life before. So this was the very first one, and it was definitely dark, but this is actually a Peter Pan retelling, which I did not know until after I read it because I've never seen Peter Pan. But basically it's about like the villain in the story. This was actually a really good book. I think I gave this like 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like, I really enjoyed this. And then I also have Scar, which is the second book in this series, so it's basically like Disney retellings. I honestly would just never expect to pick up a dark romance, and I don't think I ever would have if my boyfriend did not recommend it to me. And I read the back and I was like, wait, that actually sounds like really interesting. That's a book that I never thought that I would read, and I'm excited to read more of this genre. The next question is a world that I want to live in. So this is kind of like a fantasy question, or just in general, I guess we could go with. Okay guys, I feel like I have to go with this. I just loved the friend group in this. So they go to like this cottage every year in Maine to basically celebrate their friendship, and I have just never had like a friend group like that. Like, you're literally there to just spend time together, to play games and go out, and I just would love to have a friend group like that. I can't say enough good things about this book. Like, I just want to be there. I just want to be a fly on the wall and see what it was like. I so badly wish there would be a movie of this book. The next one is a book that you relate to the main character the most. Okay, this one is gonna be kind of different, but I actually read this like end of last year, but I'm counting it as this year because I think I finished it at the beginning of this year, and that is Just Haven't Met You Yet by Sophie Cousins. I thought that I would be able to relate to it a lot, and I honestly did. I really didn't like this story that much, but I do think that I was able to relate to the character a lot. So basically the girl, her name is Laura. She's kind of like a hopeless romantic, and she goes on this trip to try to relive her parents' meeting and just try to find like her love interest of her own. I just felt like during the time I could relate to the character so much, and I just felt what she was going through, because when I read this I had recently gone through a breakup, and it was just like, you think that you're never gonna meet someone again, and you think that you're never gonna experience that type of love again. I don't know, I literally picked this up. I was like, yeah, I feel like I can relate to what she's going through, and that's the reason that I bought it. But I did really like the premise of this book and the theme throughout the book, because I feel like it made you realize that you could be looking for all these amazing things, and once you stop looking, that's when it starts to come to you. I didn't love the story, but I do love the concept behind it. A book that you fell in love with the love interest. I have this one. That is 100% the love interest in every last word. I rated this book 5 stars. I love this book so much. I finished it so quick too. This is by Tamara Ireland Stone. This is about a girl who suffers with OCD and basically takes you throughout her experiences and just shows you what it would be like to live with OCD. And the love interest in the story is AJ, and he is just the most gentle and just so pure. Literally, when I was reading this, I was like, this is my all-time like book boyfriend, like ideal love interest. And he was just so sweet and so gentle with her and so understanding, and I loved him so much. If you have not read this book, you need to read it. Like it's just so eye-opening to the struggles of OCD, and obviously like I've never experienced it, and I can only imagine what people who go through it experience. I just loved it so much. It was such a good book. The next one is a trope that I cannot stand, and I feel like I already mentioned this, but basically that would definitely be a insta love. I don't know, I just don't understand the concept behind it. I don't understand how that's even like realistic. Like, I know it's a book, I know it's not supposed to be 100% believable, and I know it's like fiction books, but I just like, how is someone supposed to fall in love with the book and fall in love with the characters if it's so like quick to be into each other and just like say that they love each other after meeting for the first time? Like I don't get it. And the next one is paperback or hardcover. I honestly don't know. Like, I feel like I like them both equally. I would say probably paperback more because I have more copies of paperback, but I do not mind a hardcover book. Like, I just feel like they're so much easier to read, and you don't have to like sit there and hold them open the whole time. Like, they're more likely to stay open for you. That's such an odd like thing to say, but I don't know. I do love both of them equally, I think. The last question that I have is someone asked me a really interesting question on Instagram. So she said, I'm a bit new to your channel. What are your top 3 reasons why you enjoy reading? And I love that question so much. Okay, so I wrote down 3 reasons in my notes. So the first one I have is just being able to connect with others and share your thoughts and opinions on different books with others. Especially here on YouTube, like I feel like booktube and book tag has become so big. Everyone in the community is just so nice. Like, no matter what your views are on a book, people are just here because we enjoy books and love talking about books and talking about characters. It's just unlike anything else that I've ever been a part of, and I truly like, it just gives me so much joy and so much happiness, and it's just an amazing outlet. It's literally how people like make friends and truly connect with others, is by books. Like, I just think that's so amazing and such a unique way to be able to connect to someone, and just being able to relate. Like, if you and someone else love a book, like you can talk for hours about why you love the book and why you love the characters and the amazing quotes in the books and like all of that. It's just so cool. The second one is obviously falling in love with the story and the characters. Kind of the same thing, but I was just literally talking about Happy Place, and I was like freaking out because like the feeling that it gives me is so unreal. Like, it truly gives me so much happiness knowing that like these characters are not even real, but like in my mind they are, and I just connected so deeply to them. It's just so cool how an author can put something into words and put them on a page and print them for everyone to read, and you feel like you're living in that world. And the last reason I put is the shock factor of books. Like, I've said this before, I feel like when a book has a shock factor to it and it just like completely takes a turn and throws me out of the loop, like I love that about a book. It makes me love the book so much more when an author can trick you and make you think that something's gonna happen and something completely different happens. Like, especially with The Silent Patient, that was like one of the biggest books that I was like completely shocked and taken for a turn, and I loved every single part of it. So yeah, I just thought that that question was super interesting. I love questions like that that make me actually sit back and be like, wait a second, why do I love this? Like, why do I love talking about books so much, and why do I keep buying books so much? Like, what about this truly gives me so much joy? So I love that question, so thank you so much for asking me that. That was so cool. Okay guys, that is going to be all for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this fun little book tag. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. I'd love to get back to you guys, and you guys should comment down below your favorite book of the year and your least favorite book of the year, because I think that would be really fun, and I love reading through your guys' comments. Anyways, that is all for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!